Hamas is responsible for this war. It invaded our towns, murdered our people, raped our women, and kidnapped our loved ones. Hamas refused offer after offer to release our hostages. In the past 2 weeks, Israel did not initiate any military action in the hope that Hamas would change course. Well, that didn't happen. While Israel accepted the offer of President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, Hamas flatly refused to do so. And this is why I authorized yesterday the renewal of military action against Hamas. Israel does not target Palestinian civilians. We target Hamas terrorists. And when these terrorists embed themselves in civilian areas, when they use civilians as human shields, they're the ones who are responsible for all unintended casualties. Palestinian civilians should avoid any contact with Hamas terrorists. And I call on the people of Gaza, get out of harm's way, move to safer areas. Because every civilian casualty is a tragedy. And every civilian casualty is the fault of Hamas. I thank President Trump for his unwavering support for Israel. Our alliance with the United States has never been stronger. To those who criticize Israel, I ask, what would you do if terrorists murdered and kidnapped your children? You would do what we are doing. In the face of pure evil, free societies have no choice but to fight. So I want to assure all our friends around the world, Israel will fight and Israel will win. We will bring our people home and we will destroy Hamas. We will not relent until we achieve all these vital goals. And we will not rest until we give our country a future of peace, prosperity, and hope.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Shalom, I'm David Mensa, Israeli government spokesman for the National Public Diplomacy Directorate in the Office of the Prime Minister. This is a special briefing this Tuesday, the 18th of March. It's day 529 of the October 7th war. This morning, the Prime Minister and the Defence Minister instructed the Israel Defence Forces to take strong action against the Hamas terrorist organisation in the Gaza Strip. Why has Israel taken this action? For two reasons. Firstly, Hamas has rejected two concrete mediation proposals presented by the US presidential envoy, Mr. Steve Witkoff, and other mediators. Israel agreed to these mediation proposals. Hamas has rejected all of the proposals. All of the proposals. Secondly, Israel has knowledge that Hamas was planning to carry out terrorist attacks against Israel. Hamas was using the ceasefire to build up its forces and rearm to re-attack. As a result, with the approval of the government, Israel's armed forces launched precise, preemptive strikes against Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad targets throughout the Gaza Strip. The following targets have been successfully hit: Hamas military commanders, officials in Hamas's leadership, terrorist cells, launch posts, weapons stockpiles, and military infrastructure used by these terror organizations, which were ready and primed to attack our people. I can confirm these strikes are ongoing. Ladies and gentlemen, Israel has learned our lessons from the October the 7th massacre. Israel will never again allow Hamas or any other genocidal terror force to build up its terror forces on our borders. Hamas has repeatedly vowed to repeat the October 7th massacre, and our duty is to stop them. The goal of this operation is to fulfill the war's objectives. Firstly, to release all of our hostages. Secondly, the dismantling of Hamas's military and governmental infrastructure, and the removal of the terrorist threat from Gaza to Israel's security and to its citizens. Israel will, from this point onwards, act against Gaza with increasing military strength. Increasing military strength. Now, when it comes to the US-Israel partnership, the strong alliance between our two nations, between Israel and the US, is stronger than ever. As such, I can confirm that the return to intense fighting in Gaza has been fully coordinated with Washington. Israel has thanked President Trump and his administration for their unyielding support for Israel, for their commitment to freeing hostages, and to the fortification of Israel's security, while simultaneously striving for peace and stability in the Middle East. Another question here from the BBC, Amir Nader. What's your response to the Hostage and Missing Families Forum that the government has given up on hostages and is pulling out of a deal that would have brought everyone home, military pressure? Okay, thank you for that question, Amir. Just a reminder, Amir, and the BBC, it is Hamas that took these hostages. It is Hamas that continues to hold these hostages. It is Hamas that could set them free, and it is Hamas that is not setting them free. It is Hamas that has murdered our hostages. It is Hamas that has tortured our hostages. It is Hamas that has starved our hostages. Now, simply falling into your line of reasoning, I think, does the work of Hamas, which, to be fair to the BBC, they have been engaged in already very, very recently, paying the families of senior Hamas officials for what is essentially Hamas propaganda, and then passing it off as a real account of what's happening in Gaza, which BBC have had to apologise for. Now, when you repeat the Hamas propaganda, when you give news using Hamas figures, which are of course, Hamas figures, Hamas cannot be trusted. They are a genocidal terrorist organization. Okay, that looks like the last question. Yeah, I think there was another question we had from James Marlowe regarding the attacks, some action in Syria and action between Syria and Lebanon. Okay, James, thank you for that question. Look, I can share with you that just now the IDF released details of our own Air Force, which had attacked artillery in Khan Arnaba, the area in southern Syria, that posed a threat to Israel. We've made clear that the presence of weapons in southern Syria constitutes a threat to this country, and the IDF and this country, mandated by the people and the government, will not allow a military threat to exist in southern Syria, and we will act against it. Israel will not tolerate the presence of military equipment in southern Syria because we know that it will threaten our citizens, and that is why we are taking steps against it. So any attempt by the regime in Syria and their forces and other terrorist organizations to establish themselves in the region will be thwarted. Just very, very recently, in the last few days, the IDF has attacked other military targets in southern Syria, and among them command and control centers and sites containing munitions and equipment that belonged to the previous regime, which have been attempted to be put back into operation, which means that Israel will not allow terrorist organizations to re-establish themselves in Syria and turn its territory into a front base for Iran. Last week I told you about that the Air Force attacked other command and control posts of Islamic Jihad organization in Damascus. from which the organization has planned and managed terrorist operations against Israel. We are well aware what the Syrian regime is. We know where they come from. We know that their providence is ISIS and Daesh, and that is why, and Al-Qaeda as well, they've never condemned the October 7th massacre. Indeed, they've welcomed the October 7th massacre, which is, of course, because they are also jihadi terrorist organizations.